Welcome back to Loving Honestly. Today I am sharing my 5 tips on parenting teenage boys. I have another video I did on parenting teenage girls, and if you'd like to check that out, please check in the description below. Now, I know we like to make sure that we're parenting our kids with equal measures of love and discipline and all that wonderful stuff. But boys and girls are very different, especially the physiology, the hormone levels. The biology, they are made in a different form. And however much they want to express themselves in the world, there are certain things I know that I have learned and I continue to learn from them that I would like to share with you today. My name is JC, and Loving Honestly is a place for every woman with a deep need to define your love story in the way that feels right for you. I speak about intimate relationship issues and parenting teenagers. So tip number 1 is understand and know your son's peer group and influencers. One thing that I've noticed with my son is he's had his ride or dies from the time he was a little boy. When they were in preschool, they're still together, and he's now 17 years old. And what I know is within that peer group, there's really no single thing that ties them together, because you can have the academic, you can have the one who likes gaming, the one who likes sports, the one who likes to have fun, the one who is just an introvert, but in that group, they hang out together and they keep each other's confidences and support each other to the end. So why I say you need to know them. I mean, as with any young children, it's good to know who these other kids are. And if you're lucky to be in the same location with the other parents, what I tend to do and what I know has worked for me is to have a good relationship with the other parents. We may not be friends besides them having the commonality of our children. But when I can then call on them when I think something is wrong, or when I want to share something, or when I need assistance with something, it is easier because we know what all the boys are doing together. And even if we don't know everything, but someone will have an answer to something. And it's easier for me to call on someone who I know for sure has a good connection with my boy, because they spend time at their houses and they come to me as well. So know them, because boys can go overboard in good and bad. And they're trying to exert themselves and create an identity for themselves as a group and individually. And having their fun, things can go wrong. There's so much influence out there. As I said within the video I did on the girls, substance use, I mean, all sorts of chaos that is going on in the world. And if we do not know what they're doing, we may be caught out thinking, my son is still the little boy, the sweet little boy that I thought he was, but he is doing a lot more. And knowing and understanding what those peer influences are helps us to guide them and to stop them in their tracks when we see it's going the wrong way. One thing is they will keep each other's confidences, and it is hard to get anything real out of them unless there is a critical issue. But I know for sure within a group, let's say of 5 boys, there's always a reasonable one. Even if yours is not telling you, there's always a reasonable one. And if you need to reach out to the parent, go ahead and do that. Because it's one thing to believe and to hope for the best for your children. It's another when you don't know what's really going on and you start seeing changes in behavior, changes in the way they do things. The grades are getting lower, or they start to go out more and you're not quite sure what's happening. So know and understand who they're hanging out with and have a good and deep understanding of that. Tip number 2 is help your son to channel his energy levels in a progressive way. Boys' testosterone levels go up as they become adolescents, and so their energy levels also go up. They may want to spend a lot of time indoors in their rooms, but find ways to encourage them to go out and do outdoor play, sports, something that they can expend that energy, because if they don't, they will take it out on you, on their siblings, or start doing negative behaviors that are indoors, or even when they go out with their peers. It must be a regular thing for them to be able to go out there. Encourage them to jog, to swim, to do something, play games with them. If you have the kind of boy who still wants to have a lot of connection with you, then you have an advantage. Find ways to do other things. Find a basketball court or a football field where you can go out and kick a ball. Boys need that. Because if they are not doing that, they tend to keep things to themselves. And because a lot of them do not want physical connection with mom and dad for a time, because they're trying to find themselves, they need to find a way to have that physicality in other ways. Find your opportunity. You need to sacrifice your time to find what those motivators are. Don't push your child too much, of course, but make it a natural way within the day, and just ask them to maybe have a weekend where on Saturdays we do this. It doesn't have to be often. You don't have to make it a strict and structured process, but make sure that you find that time to encourage them to expend the energy. Boys are not naturally, don't try to show their emotions naturally. They are trying to become men, tough, strong men who can go out there and do everything that they need to do. But everyone is an emotional being. We all have an emotional muscle, boys included. And if we want to teach our boys to become more emotive, to be able to express themselves more, so that when they are adults and out in the world, they can do that in a beneficial way and not keep things to themselves and fail to cope because boys are not supposed to cry, then we have that mandate. We have the mandate to show them it's fine to emote. It's okay. And how do you do that? By giving them the opportunities to show and express themselves, to shout, to scream, to laugh, to play games. And when boys can speak out more and more, they release more and more. They do not keep it in themselves, and they do not have tension that they do not need to release because they're releasing it all the time. So help your boys channel their energies in beneficial ways. Find a way in. You will find it. Just take the time to get to know them and do the things that they enjoy. Tip number 3 is give them time to grow up. Boys have a shorter term vision, and 3 months is a long time in the span of a boy's life. So as much as you may want him to think a year beyond, or 6 months beyond, or even 5, they tend not to see further than 3 months, even though they do have long-term goals, if you really ask them. But how to get there, they're not really worried about that. They just want to know that I am thinking about life in the next couple of weeks. So as parents, I know we are so caught up on making sure our kids are maturing. And for sure, what I've noticed is my girls mature much faster, and they tend to have bigger fantasies and bigger goals and bigger dreams that are spent probably even their lifetime. They may not know how that will look, but they are able to see the future. Whereas for my son, he just sees now. He wants it now. I want to do it now, and I'm okay. And I know, don't worry about my grades. By the time we get to the end of the year, things will be good. And I don't know if you're like me. Maybe you can comment below and tell me if that's the same case as you. So what I've learned over time, because he is in his late teens now, and it has taken me a long time to realize that I cannot push him further than the few weeks he sees. We can just focus on what we're doing right now, and I wait for his time of unfolding to happen naturally, and it usually does. By the time we're talking about 6 months, it's a different person. He has become so focused on the thing that I wanted him to focus on last year, and now he's caught up. So we need to take time to understand that about our boys, that it can be frustrating and painfully slow, but the evolution is happening. So I need to take my span of attention within the same time frame as him, remembering, of course, the goals we want that he wants to reach, that I can help him with in the longer term, but worrying more about the now and being in the now, because if I keep looking ahead, I miss these moments in which I'm supposed to be enjoying the time, his stage of development in the now. So allow them to have that time where they just feel it's not that serious, because a lot of things are not that serious for them. Short-term vision, and you can also then create shorter-term goals for them that are guided by the longer-term vision, and you will release yourself of a lot of burden of trying to make him into the person that he will become anyway in the long run. Tip number 4 is one of my favorite ones. When your son finds something good or positive that triggers his excitement, his concentration, and his passion, it can keep him going for a long time. Sometimes boys tend, like very many things, you don't quite know what his passion is. But when he finds something, either someone who believes in him, or something he falls in love with, or an idea he takes on himself, it spurs life into him like nothing else. You may be trying to encourage him for months on end to do something, but one day he finds that one thing. It could be a sport, it could be something, a class, it could be a teacher, a special teacher who has seen him and who is encouraging him. And sometimes it also could be a girlfriend. He has fallen in love or is in the first stages of what that means for him. And finding that connection gives him life to do more. But when that happens and you notice it, try your best to find out more about what is happening, because you do need to understand at what level this external thing is influencing him. And you need to know that it's a good influence and take the time to get to know. And with every tip that I am giving, what I have learned personally is you really need to be on the ball to really know your child, get into their life a lot so that you can be able to notice these changes in their lives. But this one is a good one. And when they find that good thing, help them, encourage them, support them through it. And be able to know that if without this thing, within this period of his life, he may not be complete. So allow him to have that moment. Find a way to support them in the way that you can manage for yourself and your home. And do it. And allow him to do it. Because these are the times in which the most maturity kicks in. Because he has found something he wants to lead. He wants to be in front of. You're no longer kicking and pushing and screaming for him to do something. He is leading himself. And when he finds that place where he says, I am a leader and I'm doing this, that is an awesome place, because that's where he starts to become a man. Tip number 5 is parents, get with the program. No matter how busy life is, no matter what you've got on your plate, you need to know what is happening within your child's life. Find a way in. Even if you've got the most quiet child in the world, you can observe. You can participate. You can be able to just support them, check out what they're doing at school. I know a lot of times kids now think that they can do a lot of things on their own and they don't want a lot of your interference, but he is your son. He is still a minor, and you do need to get in there. Find out what he's doing online. Find out what he's doing in school. Just observe and talk to his siblings if he has them. Talk to the people in his life. And I'm not trying to say you need to be snoopy and nosy here, but children still want your attention, whether they show it or not. They need it more than ever. It's no longer time for diapers or kicking a ball around and wanting mommy and daddy to be everything to them. They may be pushing you away. That's fine. It is part of the development journey in which they're in. But you need to know what they're doing. You can't close yourself up, because when we think we know our kids best and we start to relax is when they start to become someone else who we don't know. So just find out what he's doing, be involved. You are also living your life as they are living theirs, but he is still your son, he is still your boy, he is still the one who still needs a hug from you from time to time. He still needs to hear a word of encouragement from time to time. He still needs to get discipline, yes, but you should always be there. Do not sit back and think, okay, he's almost an adult and I can relax now. This is when they need you. This is when they're trying to find themselves. And in finding themselves, yes, they'll spend a lot more time away from you. But get in there. Don't relax. Keep pushing, because when they do go and start their own life, you will have the time to relax and be by yourself. It's a sacrificial life that we have as parents, and we must continue to sacrifice for our children. So find the time to get to know him, because he's more introverted now than he ever will be. So get in there, create the relationship. And when you're not shouting, when you're not trying to teach, create the relationship. Talk about your likes, talk about what he likes without trying to teach anything. And then enjoy, just enjoy being a parent. Enjoy the journey. I hope you got something good from the tips I've just shared. These are my tips, and I'd love to hear comments from you, from how you've been doing it, and questions and anything else you'd like me to share. I post every Wednesday, and if you'd like to get notifications on when I do, please press the subscribe button. Thank you so much for listening, and take care.